Sara had sacrificed her entire youth for her family. She was the same daughter who preferred to take care of her aging parents instead of working after college. While her friends were achieving great heights in their careers, Sara was juggling every day between their medical appointments, home renovations, and other small and big expenses. He never had any complaints. He believed that family is everything. But then one day, his world turned upside down. That afternoon, Sara was sorting through old papers at her home desk. Had to see the files kept in the cupboard, tax papers, property documents, etc. Then I came across a thick blue file on which was written in bold letters, Allison Trust Fund. Sara thought that maybe this would be a financial plan for the two sisters. But as she kept turning the pages of the file, her breathing stopped. The entire trust fund was in Allison's name only. A fortune worth millions, which her father had amassed over the years, all in Allison's name. There was no mention of Sara in it. Neither any backup beneficiary, nor any security. As if his existence didn't matter. His hands started trembling. The mind became numb. She sat there on the sofa, the file in her lap. He remembered how his father had made the excuse of financial crunch in front of him every year. How Sara had cancelled her dream trip to Europe to pay for her mother's medicine. How he had got the roof of the house repaired with his savings. And now she came to know that those for whom she did everything, it was as if they never counted her. Tears were in her eyes, but Sara controlled herself. She knew that crying wouldn't change anything. The question was, what would she do now? At first I got angry. For a moment his heart wanted to destroy everything. But the next moment a deep peace descended upon him. As if someone had removed a heavy burden from his heart. Now that the truth had come out, perhaps he did not need to prove himself. I won't do it anymore, Sara said to herself. I will no longer give in to people who never treated me as their priority. He made a decision at that very moment. The holiday home payments, their extra bills, all that is over now. No amount of emotional blackmail, no amount of guilt will stop him now. Now she will use every dollar she earns from her hard work for herself. But the wound in the heart was so deep that just stopping the money was not enough. He had to change himself also. Sara began to build a wall within herself, one that would now protect her from negativity. She decided that she would no longer be a part of emotional abuse. Sara remembered how she was held responsible even for small things. While Allison was on vacation with her boyfriend, Sara was managing the household expenses. While Allison was pursuing her career, Sara was making rounds at Mom's hospital. And now, everything was handed over to Allison. But now I will write my own story, Sara promised herself. He gradually started distancing himself from his responsibilities. Whatever expenses she used to bear without asking earlier, she now started refusing clearly. She stopped sharing in her father's medical bills, stopped spending on holiday gifts, and even learned to say no to every small demand. At first he felt guilty. As if he has committed a crime. But every time she reminded herself that her existence mattered, her heart grew a little stronger. There was silence in the house for a few weeks. No questions, no discussion. As if everything is normal. But Sara knew, this silence was the calm before the storm. There will be some complaints soon. Some will call him selfish, some ungrateful. But now Sara was ready. He started turning himself in a new direction. She started focusing on her passion, painting. Years later he took out his brushes and colors, and set up a small studio. With each stroke she began to wash away the old wounds. With each color she started reinventing her identity. Sara now realized that it was not right to destroy herself in the name of family. Respect, love and equality, these should be the real foundation of relationships, not sacrifice and expectation. And most importantly, she had promised herself that she would never forget her worth under any circumstances. Now Sara was not just that girl who did everything for everyone. Now she was the woman who had learned to stand up for herself. And this was his real victory. Since that day, Sara had taken the most difficult but most important decision of her life. She had decided that from now on she would not provide any extra help. All the responsibilities he had performed without raising any questions had now come to an end. Now there will be no bills to pay, no additional expenses. The first step was to stop payment for the holiday home. For the last 4 years, Sara had been silently paying that huge amount every month, so that her parents could live comfortably. But now that the truth had come to light that she was not included anywhere in their future plans, Sara turned off the payment auto-deduct option the same day. This small click was a big revolution for Sara. Then came other things, medical bills. Where previously Sara would immediately send money for doctor visits and medicines, she now made it clear that every expense would be accounted for, and that she would not pay if her participation was not necessary. He also put a stop to small expenses ranging from household expenses to personal needs, such as workers being called for cleaning, gardening service, installation of a new TV. Where earlier Sara would be available on a phone call, now there was silence. The first few days were strange. Sara looks at her phone every morning, thinking that maybe some angry message will come today. Perhaps a complaint call will come today. But nothing happened. Everything continued as it was. Peace reigned for a few weeks. This peace was unnatural, it did not seem real. Like the wind before a storm, very calm, but heavy inside. Sara would ask herself every day, is today that day? Will someone taunt or blame me today? Every time the phone rang, Sara's heart skipped a beat. But then when I saw that the call was from a friend or colleague, I felt a little relieved. There was a strange tension inside him. As if she was getting ready for an invisible war, where accusations, emotional blackmail and arrows of guilt were about to be fired at her. But time kept passing. Gradually, lack of facilities started appearing in the house. The manager of the holiday home sent a notice that the monthly fees had not been received. The medical supply company had also put the next order on hold. Some household amenities like cable subscriptions and internet services also started seeing cuts. Sara knew that all this must be affecting her parents. But she reminded herself now, it wasn't her responsibility. She was no longer guilty. Then one day, she got a simple text from her mother, "Are you all okay?" Sara's heart was filled with joy. For a moment she wanted to feel the old love. But the next moment he remembered that it was the same mother who did not even put his name in the trust fund. He politely replied, "Yes, mother, everything is fine. I hope you are also well." There is no mention as to why the bills are not being paid. No complaints. This silence was making Sara more uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence in which either strategy or defeat was hidden. But both were acceptable to Sara, because now her priority was herself. Another week passed. Meanwhile, Sara started focusing on herself. She joined yoga classes, started going on weekends, and reconnected with old friends. Every time she was happy, a small worry would shake her happiness. Have I become selfish? But then she would remind herself, being selfish and protecting yourself are two different things. Gradually his confidence started increasing. She was no longer ashamed of her decision. She knew that what she had done was just. But she also knew that this silence would not last long. Sooner or later, there will be a stormy reaction. And Sara was now completely ready for that. She secured her bank account, double-checked all financial documents, and consulted with her lawyer about what she could do if the family tried to pressure her legally or emotionally. Now Sara was not only emotionally strong but also practically prepared. He had learned that silence could be a weapon, if you handled it right. Now the only question was, when would this peace be broken? And when it breaks, Sara will not move from her place. She was now standing firmly on her decision, on her dignity, and on her rights. A few weeks had passed. Sara was getting a little stronger with each day, but somewhere deep inside she knew that this peace was not permanent. There was a crack somewhere which could burst at any time. And then, one afternoon as she had just left a meeting in her office, her phone started vibrating. Looked at the screen, Dad. His heartbeat stopped for a moment. Holding his breath, he opened the message. Property taxes are due. That's all. No hello, no well-being, no inquiry as to how she is, how life is going. Just a demand. A cold, cruel text, as if Sara were an ATM machine who had to be reminded from time to time what her duty was. Sara kept staring at that screen for a few moments. Anger, pain, then a strange peace started spreading within him. She had understood. It was important to them only when they needed something. No emotional attachment, no gratitude, just calling upon him in times of need. She took a deep breath, composed herself, and then typed a reply in a very cold but respectful tone. Please contact Allison. That's all. No explanation, no excuse, no anger. Just a straight answer. As soon as she pressed the send button, Sara felt a lightness from within. As if a knot that had been stuck for years had been opened. Now the ball was in his court. Now it had to be seen what the next step would be. Sara knew that this time the matter was not going to be simple. Her father never placed any financial responsibility on Allison. Sara had always been the responsible child, the one who was expected to help without question. So now that she's been told to contact Allison, will they really do it? Or will some new trick be used to put pressure on Sara? Sara remained busy with her work throughout the day, but the phone attracted her attention again and again. Every time the screen flashed, it would pause for a moment. But no other text came that day. At night, when she was sitting on the sofa in her apartment, the TV was on but her attention was somewhere else. Many questions were roaming in his mind. Will Allison help? Would she say, it's not my job? Or will she adopt the same attitude she always had, evasive? Sara knew very well about Allison. Allison had always been the favorite, sweet, bubbly, and even a little selfish. The burden of responsibility was never placed on him. But now, when the family has made her heir to the trust fund, will she accept her new role? Or will it all fall on Sara again? No reply came even the next day. Then the next day, Sara received a group text that contained both her father and Allison. Father wrote, Allison, property taxes are due. Can you see? Sara watched the screen carefully. Now everything was in Allison's hands. There was no reply for a few minutes. Then suddenly Allison's reply came. I'm busy right now. Can Sara handle it? Sara's heart skipped a beat. Same old game. The same loose, careless reaction. As if nothing has changed. But this time Sara had promised herself that she would not back down. He put the phone down and did not answer. If they wanted Sara to shoulder everything again, they had got a clear answer. On the other hand, some more messages came in the group text. Father wrote, Sara, this is urgent. But Sara still maintained silence. Silence is also a language, and this time Sara had made it her weapon. That night, Sara slept completely peacefully for the first time. This battle was not easy. Emotional pressure, attempts at guilt, fear of separation from family, everything was against him. But Sara now knew that the battle for her own respect and rights could be fought only with bravery. Now it had to be seen where the next front would open. Because one thing was certain, Sara was not going to back down now. Sara gradually started realizing that it was not just about money or trust fund. The real hurt was where he trusted most, his family. The silence that was there in the beginning was now beginning to break. One day, a long message arrived on her phone, from cousin Brian. You should be ashamed. Dad did everything for you and now when he needs you, you backed out. It's family's duty, Sara. Have you forgotten? Sara read the message and remained numb for a moment. Was she really wrong? Had all his years of help, his sacrifices, his selflessness all been erased just because of one decision? But then he reminded himself, he had not only done his part, but had done his duty to others as well. She had sacrificed vacations, given up career opportunities, put her dreams on hold so she could provide for her family. But when it came to his rights, he was sidelined in one fell swoop. Now, one by one, other family members also started taunting. Someone would say, you have changed. Someone would say, money has hardened your heart. Even his father wrote directly one day. I'm ashamed of you. Every word was piercing like an arrow. But this time Sara did not feel like bowing down. He read every word silently, endured every taunt, but made no reply. He had learned that it was not necessary to answer every allegation. Sometimes, silence is the greatest statement. Then one day, her sister Allison also messaged. If Mom were alive, she would be very disappointed in you. This was the last injury. Mother's memories were in the softest corner of Sara's heart. But now, those memories were being used to make him guilt trip. Sara took a deep breath and made a promise to herself. I'm not guilty. I'm not weak. What I did was out of love, not force. And now, when I haven't been treated justice, it's not wrong for me to stand up for myself. Thinking this, he deleted all the messages. Put the phone on silent. And for the first time, sitting in her apartment, she found herself smiling as she gazed out the window. Yes, there was pain. Yes, there was loneliness. But there was also a new kind of freedom, one of self-respect that she had chosen for herself. Sara knew that this path would not be easy. It is possible that relationships may break. It is possible that some people may stay away from him forever. But now she will not make others happy by losing herself. He burned himself for years so that he could bring light to others. Now it was time for him to save his light for himself. Over the next few weeks, when no new messages came, Sara realized that the family had also slowly given up. They were not able to bind him with guilt. They had not been able to push her back into her old, obedient role. Now the question was not whether Sara would bow down or not. Now the question was how would she start a new chapter of her life, for herself, for her happiness, on her own terms. Sara's decision to finally stand up for herself was now about to take a new direction. For the first time, he felt no regrets. No guilt, no fear. Just a strong, steady feeling that she was now in control of her life. Sara sent one last message to her father in clear words. I can no longer take responsibility for any of your expenses. Please contact Allison or your trust fund manager. Good luck. He neither asked nor wanted any reply after that message. And then, he looked at his bank account. The money that she had been spending for years on the needs and demands of others, now the same savings were in front of her, shining like a new hope. Sara decided to use that money to fulfill her dream. The dream that she had been harboring in her heart for years, the dream of opening her own small art gallery. For a few weeks, he searched for the perfect location in downtown Charlotte. It was a memorable day when he found that perfect place, a small but beautiful place, with sunlight streaming in through large windows. He did not take the loan. Nor did he ask for help from anyone. He decorated this place on his own, with his hard work and savings. She hung her own paintings on the walls. Planted small plants. A comfortable sofa was placed in one corner, so that people could sit and enjoy the art. He named the gallery New Horizons. This name was not just a place, it symbolized a new beginning in Sara's life. When the gallery opened on the first day, not many people came. But whoever came had true admiration in their eyes. Someone said, "Your art speaks from the heart." Someone said, "This place gives peace." Sara felt as if her soul was getting the validation that she had never received from her family. With time, people started growing. Sara's name gradually became known in the world of art. The local magazine published a feature story on him. A woman who chose herself and created a new world. Sara had tears in her eyes after reading this. But this time these tears were not of sadness, but of pride. Sometimes, when she sat alone, she would remember the bygone days. Those sour words, those guilt trips, those contemptuous messages. But then she pulled herself back to the present. Because now his past was no longer his identity. His identity was his courage, his struggle, and his shining new world. One evening, when the gallery was sparsely populated and the last rays of the sun were filtering through the windows, Sara grabbed a cup of coffee, stood in the middle of her gallery and took a long, contented breath. Now she knew. Relationships matter only when they are based on respect and truth. Relationships built on use and selfishness are not relationships, they are just deals. And Sara no longer made deals. Now she had created a relationship with herself which would neither be broken nor sold. With her freedom, with her dreams, Sara lived her life again, this time, completely her way. And this was his true victory.